Before that, elsewhere nearby, the cleaning team watched from a distance as the defense squad battled the kaiju. One of them asked if anyone had seen the rookie. Meanwhile, that same rookie complained about their plan being discovered before they could act. Now, unsure of what to do, they lamented the fatigue of reviving everyone. Ichikawa found it all very strange and couldn't understand why the rookie was speaking like that. He stretched his finger and began something bizarre, launching a projectile like a bullet, hitting Iharu squarely. He tried to aim for the heart, but his accuracy was poor in human form. Ichikawa attempted to aid his colleague while the enemy transformed, revealing its true form. It complained about not wanting to leave empty-handed and decided to take a member of the squad. Ichikawa tried to warn Hashina, but communication was cut off by the enemy kaiju. He managed to create an area devoid of detections and used it to hunt. He began shooting again. Leno Ichikawa managed to dodge fatal blows, but all the shots hit him, piercing the suit easily. The kaiju found it strange that he was missing so much, realizing that Leno could see. Kikoru had explained to him that Leno always made a finger movement before firing, so in theory, he just needed to focus on that and follow the trajectory. Ichikawa instructed Iharu to go for reinforcements while he distracted the monster. Despite his fear, he wanted to be a member of the squad more than anything, risking his life to protect others. Leno knows he doesn't stand a chance against that kaiju, but he can at least buy some time. Ichikawa successfully dodges the next attacks and retaliates. Meanwhile, Iharu becomes very frustrated along the way. Despite reaching 20% suit extraction much earlier than Leno, he was still overtaken by him. Despite recognizing Leno's strength, he harbors a lot of anger at losing to him. In the midst of the battle, the kaiju quickly moves towards Leno Ichikawa, surprising him with multiple arms ready to fire. There's no way he can escape, if not for Iharu, who returns and narrowly saves him. Although he ends up getting hit and refuses to be saved by Leno, now it's Leno who will be saved by him. Leno asks why he came back, and Iharu simply tells him to be quiet. Without him, Leno would be in trouble now. The enemy doesn't understand. Humans or objects can't leave the area he created without his permission. It's futile. Iharu then decides to detonate this guy next to Leno. They both devise a plan. Iharu will try to create an opening while Leno goes after the enemy. Iharu disrupts the kaiju's movements, so it decides to eliminate him first. However, now it can also predict his shots, and before the kaiju can attack again, Leno unleashes his maximum power in a single shot. In that one moment, Leno begs the heavens to make him stronger than Shinomiya and even Captain Mina, to finish off this enemy once and for all. A powerful shot is fired and hits the kaiju head-on. Or so it seems, because upon closer inspection, there's a wall of dead kaijus there. The enemy, now much larger than before, notices from their expressions that they probably don't have a plan B. Leno is targeted. Elsewhere, Captain Hashina is alerted about the loss of contact with Leno and Iharu. Kafka overhears everything. For a second, he notices one of the kaiju corpses move. Shinomiya arrives to warn Kafka, and she confirms that the enemy has returned. Leno falls to the ground, barely able to move but still determined to fight. The kaiju finds it incredibly difficult to immobilize a human without killing them. Iharu attempts to attack, but bullets won't work twice on this enemy, and he is also hit. The kaiju shoots at Leno until he can no longer get up, and Iharu is overcome with frustration, feeling helpless. Iharu begins to plead for anything to appear and save Leno, whether it be an angel or demon, anything. The kaiju deems Iharu unnecessary and decides to take him down right there. But at that moment, a furious Kafka, transformed into a kaiju, emerges right behind him. The enemy is completely taken by surprise and is struck hard by Kafka's overwhelming blow. So violent that the enemy's head flies off its body. Kafka apologizes to his friend for the delay, but Leno feels like he failed again, forcing Kafka to transform. The adversary quickly recognizes the infamous Kaiju number 8. Kafka sees that it will take a little longer, so he leaves Leno there while the suit tends to his injuries. Leno knows how strong Kafka is, but still has a bad feeling. The enemy questions why one Kaiju would interfere with another Kaiju. After all, Kafka is much stronger than he expected, and now he's interested in his body as well. Kafka is hit by some shots, causing damage but stopping at the armor. The enemy sees that Kafka is indeed tough, and to take him down will require much more. That's when he reveals numerous arms ready to fire projectiles. Iharu realizes that this guy was just playing with the two of them. Kafka theoretically questions what it was that the enemy shot into the bodies of his comrades. Then he starts shooting everything at once. Kafka is furious, but he doesn't move a muscle besides his jaw, stopping all the projectiles with a single roar. Everyone is astonished, including the enemy kaiju, who doesn't understand how this is possible. They clash, but in combat, Kafka is so superior that his enemy can't see his blows coming, becoming completely confused. The enemy tries to shield himself with the bodies of kaijus, but nothing works against Kafka now. The enemy can't keep distance, as Kafka punishes every move severely. Even his regeneration isn't normal. He knows he needs to retreat somehow or he'll die right there, but no opening is found. Kafka crushes him and is about to unleash his strongest blow directly into the villain's core. As he gathers all his mass and focuses everything on defense, his body is torn apart. He manages to survive, but his core is now exposed. However, when Kafka is about to finish him off, troops from the defense team appear there. Sometime earlier, Shinomiya and Kafka discuss the humanoid kaiju. If it's really him, Kafka will be able to sense his presence. He then transforms and goes after Reno and Iharu. In the present, Shinomiya hears the soldiers saying they found Kaiju number 8. Returning to Kafka, he is distracted by the soldiers arriving, realizing that the enemy's barrier has broken. This gives him an opening, and he manages to escape, saying that he now understands Kafka's profile and will kill him next time. He shoots at the soldiers and Kafka protects them. One of the soldiers notices this. The enemy remarks that Kafka is too human for a kaiju. Kafka now needs to flee and hide to return to normal. When he finds an empty alley, Hashina appears behind him, saying he finally found him. He radios this and everyone hears. Hashina wastes no time and attacks Kafka with his blades. He is incredibly fast, and Kafka narrowly dodges his strikes. As he has said before, Hashina has an insane advantage against smaller kaijus, and now he is taking it seriously. Kafka finds himself backed against the wall, realizing that retaliating could result in him killing Hashina. Watching Shinomiya in action was already a spectacle, but Hashina is on a completely different level. These are the moves of a captain. Hashina's movements become increasingly faster, and that's when Kafka is struck by Hashina's empty slash, even though he was certain he dodged. Hashina sees the core. Regenerating limbs consumes a lot of energy, so Kafka can't afford to take any more hits. He uses his arms to deflect the trajectory of the blades. Hashina is giving it his all, but he realizes that the kaiju is still holding back. He senses something strange about his opponent. There's something wrong. He then assumes his fifth stance and delivers a double slashing blow. Kafka dodges, losing a leg, but Hashina follows up with the third strike that hits Kafka head-on. However, Kafka already knew where he was aiming because of the core and anticipated it, creating a jaw on his arm and grabbing Hashina's blade. Kafka then punches the captain's sword, causing him to recoil and become distracted enough for Kafka to escape. Meanwhile, Kikoru Shinomiya wonders if she can really trust Kafka. Just then, he appears exhausted and apologizes for worrying Kikoru. But being at Sundara, she doesn't admit it. Kafka is worn out and let the humanoid kaiju escape, but Kikoru is more concerned about his health at the moment. Approaching Hashina, Mina sees him looking downcast and asks if Kaiju number 8 was really that strong. He mentions that she caught him at a bad time, and Mina even takes a photo to tease him. Hashina admits that Kaiju number 8 must be a Daikaiju. The last one of that level of strength appeared 5 years ago. An unease still surrounds Hashina. There was something wrong with that kaiju. Its movements, its fighting tactics were similar to that of a human, and it didn't seem like it wanted to harm him. Mina decides to take charge from there. For her, the only good kaiju is a dead kaiju. At that moment, one of the squad members contacts Hashina and Mina, informing them about the report on Reno and Iharu. The humanoid kaiju is the same one that appeared during the exam, and when they found him, he had a human appearance. Later, Hashina and his colleague investigate this case and ask some questions to the cleaning team they worked with. All of this is confidential, and no one knows that there's a kaiju capable of transforming into a human. His colleague wonders if this is the right decision, but they have no choice. It was a decision made by the higher-ups in the Eastern Command, and upon reading more, Hashina understands their motives. If this were revealed, it would generate great distrust among the population. The most suspicious would suffer prejudice and retaliation, and that would be much worse. Hashina finds something strange. Why is a kaiju disguised as a human registered as a civilian in the system? Meanwhile, the kaiju disguised as a human walks along a road where a man yells at him to get out of the way. He almost kills the man but decides it's better not to attract attention, and with the current situation, it would be even better to change his appearance. He then decides to devour the man and steal his appearance. The car radio mentions the defense troop distinguishing the case of the humanoid kaiju as a long-term one, and nicknames it Kaiju Number 9. Kaiju Number 9 was the last to receive a code name, and the troop is still investigating its relationship with Kaiju 8. Kafka and Kikoru are in the medical wing waiting for Ichikawa to wake up. When he does, he's overjoyed to see Kafka well and thanks him for saving him and Iharu. However, Iharu himself is also there and asks why he's thanking Kafka if it was Kaiju 8 who saved them. Shinomiya quickly says that his analysis of the mushroom kaijus was crucial. Despite being a kaiju, Iharu is impressed to see Kaiju 8 pummeling Kaiju 9. Kafka even blushes at the praise, finding it strange, but Shinomiya says he always looks like a fool. Later, everyone celebrates the team's first completed mission and Reno's return. The excitement is so high that they start discussing many things about the mission. Then, Hashina enters and makes an announcement. Kafka's discovery about the mission's kaiju was extremely helpful and highly praised. He has just been promoted to a member of the troop. Thus, Hashina welcomes the 3rd Division of the Defense Troop, this time for real.